everyone, I'm Literary Freak 11 coming at you with day 10 of Journey Through the Multiverse of My Mind. Quick warning for this piece, not child friendly, involves alcoholism. So this is the card here. You can kind of see these ghostly Revolutionary War type figures in these kind of more modern looking houses. So that is the card for today, and without further ado, I shall begin. History is happening all at once. At least, that's what my mom used to say. I hated it. I hated the idea that I'd be doing the same old things forever on a loop. I rebelled. Not because I hated authority, but because I figured if I had to be doing the same thing for eternity, it might as well be interesting. It was only much later that she explained to me what she saw. The Revolutionary War that raged day after day, the War of 1812, the Civil War. People in clothes of all eras marched the streets of our little town to her eyes alone. She jumped at noises the rest of us couldn't hear, and she was always odd, the people would whisper, but she worked hard to ingratiate herself to them. I only learned any of this by forcing her hand, you see. I found the hemlock solution, diluted as it was. But she'd taken too much and was sick for days. Father was away on a business trip, and I cared for her. I looked in the bathroom and found the solution. She tried to claim a doctor had prescribed it, but I argued, why would a doctor give you something to make you sicker? This was a few decades before chemotherapy had become a predominant cancer treatment, and thus she had no reply. With honesty and silence as her only two options, she chose honesty. She told me how the diluted hemlock extract prevented her from seeing the dead, or as she called them, other presents. Can you see the future? I asked. Not far, she replied as I mopped her sweaty forehead. I try to live in places that haven't been lived in before or won't be around much longer. What do you mean? I asked. You're 16. I shouldn't burden you with such information, she said weakly. Now I'm stressed because I don't know, I replied. Fine. Something happens in 3 years that will prevent this place from being habitable. I can only see people, so I can't see what the event will be with all the running and screaming. It's a bit hard to tell. Don't worry, we'll leave before that. I was shocked at the idea that I'd never be able to return to my childhood home. Earlier, I had said get it all out, and I suppose she had taken that to mean the contents of her mind as well as the contents of her stomach. I wasn't entirely sure whether I believed her. After the dilution disaster, my mother took up drinking. As I understand it, from what my father told me, it wasn't quite as effective as hemlock, but it was a good deal safer, cheaper, and easier to come by. My father told me this had happened twice before, although she wasn't sick as long either time, and I was too young to remember. She would use hemlock during the week to go to her job. Then she would drink on the weekends. Then she began drinking in the evenings once she got home and the hemlock had worn off. Then she began drinking at work too, after another 3-day stint in bed when she had drunkenly mixed her hemlock solution and done it wrong. It was not long after this incident that she was fired from her job and Dad had enough. The whole family left town about 2 years after her first event, but only 2 months after she'd been fired. We left at the same time to keep up appearances. I went to college in North Carolina, my father went to live in Florida, and my mother a small rural town in the middle of Canada. 9 months later, there was a nuclear meltdown in my hometown, and I was never able to return. I called my mother, who I hadn't talked to since we had parted ways. Have you heard? I asked, horror-struck and feeling guilty. I heard tears in her voice as she replied, "Not only have I heard, but I have seen. I remember watching their last moments over and over again, especially now when I close my eyes." Her voice devolved into sobs, and when she composed herself enough to speak, she said, "I won't forget. Not again." Could we have saved them? I asked, the question gnawing at my conscience. Would you believe you? No. And worse, we might have been put into an institution and died with everyone else trapped there. I took a deep breath. I understand. I thought having less history would be good, but I didn't factor in the toll such a traumatic timeline would take on me, spending years waiting for their timeline to overlap with ours. I'm sorry I abandoned you in the search to forget. I had found God at my time in college, so I said, I can't pretend to know your troubles. I forgive you. Oh, love, I'll come back to see you. I'll leave right away. My heart skipped a beat in fear. Are you sober? I asked. Of course, dear. Anything for you, she replied with a smile. That's all for now. Thanks so much for watching. If you like this story, please comment and let me know. And have a good one. And I'll see you tomorrow.